I'm going to tell you something. Something I've never told anyone before. It happened 5 years ago, but honestly, it didn't really end until last week. Back then, I was just a normal guy. Nothing special, nothing different. I just finished school, started working full-time, had a few friends, not many, but good ones. We played games, went out for drinks, talked about dumb stuff, normal life. I lived in a small American town called Millbrook, quiet, peaceful, the kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked and everyone waves when you drive by. I liked that kind of life. Simple, predictable, safe. At least, I thought it was. That night, everything changed. It was late. Maybe 2 a.m. The streets were empty. The sky was heavy, still wet from the rain that had just passed. I was driving home from work. The radio was low, just static between songs, and for a second, it felt like the whole world had fallen asleep. Then I saw him, a man, running. At first I thought maybe he was just out for a jog, but no one runs like that. He was sprinting, like his life depended on it. He came out of nowhere, right into the beam of my headlights. His clothes were soaked, his face was pale, and his eyes wide, terrified. I slowed down, leaned forward, trying to see him better. He turned his head just for a second, and I froze. Because that man looked exactly like me. Same build, same dark hair, same jacket, the same one I was wearing. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. I whispered, "What the hell?" He didn't look at me for long, just that one quick glance, and then he turned and ran into the dark, disappeared. I sat there, engine running, rain tapping against the windshield. I should have driven away, but I didn't. Something about that look stuck with me. It wasn't just fear, it was recognition, like he knew me, and I knew him. The next morning, the whole town was talking. There'd been a break-in overnight, a few streets over from where I'd seen him. The homeowner told police someone had been watching them through the window. When they went to call 911, the man ran. By the time the cops arrived, he was gone. They said the footprints led toward the woods, but they never found him. I didn't say anything about what I saw, didn't tell anyone. I didn't want to sound crazy, but that image, that man running, it stayed with me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him again. The same wet hair, the same terrified face, and those eyes, my own eyes, staring back at me. 3 days later, I came home from work. It was late, almost midnight. The air felt heavy again, that same thick silence before rain. I unlocked the back door and saw something on the ground. Mud, footprints, leading up to the door. Not away from it, to it. My chest went cold. I looked around, but the yard was empty. No movement, just the wind moving through the trees. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe it was an animal or a delivery guy, right? But inside, I knew that wasn't true because the footprints were the same size as mine. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound felt louder. The refrigerator hum, the ticking of the clock, the wind scraping branches against the siding, and then, around 2:30, I heard something, a single, slow knock on the back door. I froze. Another knock, then silence. I waited, listened. Nothing. I wanted to believe it was just the wind, but deep down, I knew better. I walked slowly to the window, pulled the curtain just an inch, and there he was, standing at the edge of the yard, still, watching the house. He wasn't moving. He wasn't making a sound. And even from that distance, I could tell. It was him, the same man, the same jacket, the same face. My face. I blinked, and he was gone. Just gone. I stood there for a long time, heart racing, hands shaking. I told myself I was imagining things, that it couldn't be real. But the next morning there was something on the porch, A small folded piece of paper, wet from the dew. I opened it. It said, "You saw me running that night." I didn't know what it meant, not yet, but it was only the beginning and I had no idea just how deep it would go. I thought it would stop after that, but that was just the start. Things only got darker from there. After that night, I didn't sleep for days. Every noise made me jump. Every shadow looked like a person. I tried to tell myself it was just a coincidence, just some random guy, but the note, those words, they wouldn't leave my mind. "You saw me running that night," I kept asking myself. What was he running from? And why did he look like me? A few nights later, it rained again. I was sitting on the couch trying to watch TV, but my mind wasn't there. Every few seconds, I'd glance at the window, half expecting to see someone standing outside. Around midnight, the power flickered once, twice, then the lights went out. The house fell into complete silence. I sat there, frozen. The sound of rain tapping against the glass was the only thing I could hear. Then, from somewhere behind the house, a faint crunch, footsteps, slow, careful, coming closer. I held my breath, didn't move. The steps stopped right outside the kitchen window. I could feel him watching me. Seconds passed, maybe minutes, and then the power came back on, the lights flickered, and through the reflection on the glass, I saw him, just for a second, standing outside, staring straight at me, my face, my eyes, my expression. Then he was gone. I called the police again. They came, looked around, wrote down a report. No footprints this time, no fingerprints, nothing. One of the officers said maybe I'd been dreaming. He smiled, told me to get some rest, but I couldn't rest, because after they left, I found something they missed. Right outside the back door, half buried in the mud, was a small, broken keychain, a plastic tag with faded letters. It said, "Millbrook High, class of 2015, my class, my year," and on the back, my initials. I sat down on the kitchen floor. The room felt smaller, like the air was being pulled out of it. Was someone messing with me? Someone who knew me from school? I started calling old friends one by one. Most of them hadn't even been in town in years. No one knew anything. No one had seen anyone strange. But that night, I got another message. Same unknown number. This time, just one line. "Stop looking." I didn't sleep at all. I just sat there, waiting for the sun to rise, listening to the house breathe, every creak, every gust of wind. It all sounded alive. And then something new started happening. I began seeing reflections that didn't match. One morning, brushing my teeth, I looked in the mirror, and for a split second, my reflection didn't move. It just stood there, watching me, expressionless. I blinked, and it was gone. I smashed the mirror that night. Days turned into weeks. I started forgetting what sleep felt like. The world around me began to blur. People at work said I looked pale, tired. Some nights I'd drive for hours just to get out of the house, but no matter where I went, I always felt watched. Once, while pumping gas on the highway, I looked across the street, and there he was, standing by the trees, still, silent. My chest tightened. I blinked, and he was gone again. I started keeping a journal, writing down every sighting, every sound, every dream. Maybe I thought it would make sense someday, but the more I wrote, the stranger it got. The same timestamps, the same noises, the same places, and every single time, the weather was the same. Wet, foggy, like the air itself remembered that night. Then one evening, I saw something that broke me. I was driving home after work. Rain again, always rain. As I turned onto my street, my headlights caught movement near the edge of the woods, someone standing there. I slowed down, And that's when I saw it, a small flashlight shining through the trees. Someone was filming my house. I stopped the car, ran out into the rain. By the time I reached the trees, the light was gone. The forest was silent, but lying in the mud was a small black camera, still recording. I picked it up, heart pounding, on the screen, just static, and then a face, my face, looking straight into the lens. I dropped it, backed away. That night I packed a bag, left the house. I didn't care where I went, I just wanted to get away. But somehow, even after I left Millbrook, I could still feel it, that weight, that presence, like something had followed me. And I guess it had, because that was the night the phone calls began. I thought leaving town would keep me safe, but he wasn't done with me yet. Not even close. I left Millbrook that night, didn't pack much, just my bag, my wallet, my phone. I drove until the gas tank was almost empty. Hours passed. The rain followed me. By sunrise, I'd crossed into another state, found a cheap motel off the highway, the kind that smells like cigarettes and old carpet. I checked in. Tried to tell myself I was safe now, that whatever was happening, it was back there. But deep down, I knew better. For the first 2 days, nothing happened, no notes, no footsteps, no shadow at the window. I almost started to believe it was over. Then, the phone rang. It was around midnight. The old motel phone on the nightstand buzzed once, then twice. I hesitated and picked up. Silence. I said hello. Nothing. Just the faint sound of breathing. Then, a whisper. Don't hang up. My blood ran cold. I didn't speak, didn't move. Then that same voice said, soft, shaking, "Why did you stop running?" I slammed the phone down, stood there, frozen. The room suddenly felt smaller, the walls closer. I grabbed my keys and ran outside, but when I got to my car, there was a note on the windshield, soaked from the rain. One line. "I told you not to look." I didn't sleep that night, just sat in the car, watching the parking lot. Every sound felt wrong, every flickering light felt like an eye. At dawn, I drove again, didn't know where I was going, didn't care. After a few hours, I stopped at a diner, ordered coffee, tried to act normal. There was an old TV playing behind the counter, local news, and then something made me stop. A report about a fire, a small house in Millbrook. My house. They said it burned down completely, no one inside. But the firefighters found something strange in the basement. A wall, covered in photos. Photos of me, dozens of them, all taken from outside, different times, different places, and in every single one, there was someone standing behind me, someone that looked just like me. I left the diner, hands shaking. I didn't even pay. I drove to a nearby park, sat there for hours. I couldn't stop thinking about the voice on the phone, that question. Why did you stop running? Running from what? From him? From myself? I looked down at my hands. They were trembling, dirty, like I'd been digging. But I hadn't, had I? That night, I checked into another motel, farther away, different state, different number. I kept my phone off, left the room lights on, and still, I couldn't sleep. At exactly 3:07 a.m., the phone rang again, the same slow buzz. I stared at it for a long time, then picked up. The same breathing, then the voice. "You can't run forever," I whispered. "What do you want?" No answer, just static, and then the sound of footsteps close, getting louder. I turned toward the door and froze, because outside the thin motel window, a shadow moved, slowly, someone standing just beyond the curtain. I whispered again, "Who are you?" Then the voice on the phone said, "I'm you." The lights flickered. The line went dead. I dropped the phone, backed away. The shadow outside the window moved closer. A hand pressed against the glass. My hand, exactly the same scars, same marks. Then it was gone. I ran out the door, straight into the night, didn't look back, didn't care where I was going. All I could hear was that voice in my head over and over again. I'm you. I thought I could escape him, but maybe I wasn't supposed to. Maybe he was never chasing me. Maybe I was chasing him. I couldn't live like that anymore. Always looking over my shoulder, always wondering if I was still real. So I decided to prove it, once and for all. If this thing, this man, this version of me was real, I'd catch him. On camera, I bought equipment, cheap cameras, motion sensors, even a small drone. I set them up in the new place I was renting. Tiny apartment, 2 rooms, 1 window facing the woods. For days, nothing happened. Just silence, stillness, the kind that drives you insane. I'd sit up all night, watching the footage. Every sound made me flinch. Every flicker of light made me pause, but there was nothing until the 5th night. At exactly 2:37 a.m., the motion alert went off. Camera 2, outside. I opened the feed, and there he was, standing at the edge of the woods, facing the house, still, perfectly still. The light from the porch flickered, and for a moment, his face became clear. My face. I whispered out loud, "Oh my God." And then the screen went black. I ran outside. Rain pouring again, always rain, but there was no one there, just mud and footprints. My footprints. I followed them to the trees, but they stopped. Mid-step, like whoever made them just vanished. I turned back toward the house and saw something in the window, someone standing inside, watching me. I sprinted back, burst through the door. The room was empty, everything still in place, except for one thing, the drone. It was sitting on the table, still recording. I picked it up and hit play. Static at first, then a faint image, the drone hovering above the house, looking down, and there, clear as day, 2 of me. One standing in the yard, one staring out the window, both perfectly still. I dropped the drone, fell to my knees, my breathing heavy, my vision blurry. It couldn't be real, it couldn't. I called the police again, told them someone had broken in. They came, checked the house, no signs of forced entry, no footprints, no one on the cameras. They looked at me like I was crazy, and maybe I was. That night, I played the footage again, over and over, and with each replay, something changed. The face in the window wasn't mine anymore. It was distorted, shifting, almost melting, and then it started to smile. Not my smile. Wider, wrong. I turned off the screen, but even with it off, I could still see it in the reflection, in the glass, in the dark. I stopped leaving the house, stopped eating, stopped sleeping. I could hear him sometimes just outside, breathing, waiting. And then one night, the phone rang again, same number, same static. This time I answered, but the voice wasn't his. It was mine, calm, clear. "You need to stop fighting it," it said. "You've been here before." I whispered, "What do you mean?" The line went silent for a moment. Then, "Check the tapes." My hands were shaking as I opened the laptop, went back through every video, and that's when I saw it in every clip, every angle, every night. I was there, twice. One of me sleeping, the other standing in the doorway, watching. And then, slowly, night after night, the one in the doorway moved closer, till he wasn't in the frame anymore, because he was behind the camera. I slammed the laptop shut, heart pounding, breathing fast. I could feel something behind me. I turned around, but there was nothing there. Nothing, except my own reflection in the dark window. And for a split second, it smiled, before I did. I thought I could prove he existed, but now I'm not sure I do. I stopped counting the days, stopped trying to tell night from morning. It all felt the same, cold, quiet, empty. I didn't leave the house anymore, didn't open the curtains, didn't answer calls. I just waited. Waited for him, for it, for the end. One morning, I woke up and the world felt different, still dark, but calm, too calm. I walked to the mirror in the hallway. For the first time in weeks, I forced myself to look, and there I was, tired, hollow, but still me. At least, that's what I thought, until my reflection blinked. Half a second before I did, I stepped closer, slowly. My breath fogged the glass. I whispered, "What do you want?" And then it smiled, that same wrong smile, too wide, too cold. And in my own voice, it said, "It's your turn." The glass cracked, a hairline fracture spreading like veins across the surface. I stumbled back, heart racing, but I couldn't look away, because behind the cracks, there was movement. Hands, fingers pressing from the other side, pushing. The mirror began to shake. I screamed, but no sound came out. Then, the glass shattered, and everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was standing outside. The air was cold. The rain was gone. I looked around. The street, the houses, they all looked familiar. Millbrook. But it was different. Empty. Quiet. Dead. No people, no cars, just silence. I started walking. Every step echoed. The whole town felt hollow. Then I saw it. A house. My house. Perfect. Unburned, exactly as it was. 5 years ago. The lights were on, and through the window, I saw someone sitting inside, watching TV, laughing. Me. I stood there for a long time, watching myself live, seeing everything I'd lost. I wanted to call out, to warn him, but then he turned his head and looked right at me. Our eyes met, and I realized he could see me too. He stood up slowly, walked toward the window, confused, scared, just like I had been. He whispered something. I couldn't hear it. Then I saw it. A figure running behind him, through the reflection, running, just like before. And suddenly, I remembered everything, the rain, the night, the first time I saw him. I wasn't the one being followed. I was the one running. I looked down at my hands, transparent, fading. The truth hit me all at once. I wasn't alive, not anymore. I'd been trapped here, caught in the same loop, the same story, over and over again, watching myself until it was my turn to take his place. The lights in the house flickered. The air grew colder, and for the last time, I whispered, "I'm sorry." Then I stepped forward, through the glass, into the light, and he looked up, as if seeing something outside the window, a shadow, a reflection, me. Now, I wait, because one night, he'll see someone running in the rain, and when he does, it'll begin again. If you ever see someone who looks exactly like you, just don't follow them. Don't call out. Just run. If you made it this far, you're different. Most people would have stopped listening. Most people can't handle the truth, but you did. You stayed. So, thank you. Just remember, some stories never really end. They just wait for someone new to find them. If you ever hear footsteps at night, if you ever feel someone watching you, don't look. Because sometimes the one watching isn't a stranger. It's you. This was a story from Shadowed Fears, where nightmares never sleep. If you want more stories like this, subscribe, turn on the lights, and maybe, just maybe, you'll make it through the next one. Soft static fades in. Shadowed Fears, we see you.